Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are so glad you're here with us today because we are about to tackle something that is, honestly, a bit of a holy grail for comedy nerds.
Oh, absolutely.
We are opening up the files on a specific moment in television history that I think, really defines the genre of the single-camera sitcom. We are looking at Arrested Development.
A show that rewards the attentive viewer like almost no other show in history. It is just the gift that keeps on giving.
It really is. And we aren't just looking at the series broadly today. We're zooming in, microscope style, on one specific episode.
One single episode.
We are looking at Season 2, Episode 3, titled Amigos.
Amigos.
Yes.
Originally aired November 21st, 2004, so we're going back a bit.
We are. Now, if you're a fan, you probably just smile because you know exactly which one this is. You know the beats. This is the one with the bounty hunter. This is the one with the private eye. This is the trunk escape.
And perhaps most famously, the hand-shaped chair.
The chair. Oh, my God, the chair. We are going to get into the chair, believe me. But our mission today is to figure out why this specific 22 minutes of television is considered by critics and scholars, and we have a massive stack of scholarly analysis here, to be one of the series' finest.
Right. What makes it tick?
What makes it tick? What makes it so special?
And it really is a masterclass in layering. When you peel it back, you have foreshadowing that pays off seasons later. You have sharp social commentary on class and race.
Oh, yeah.
And you have the introduction of some absolute fan-favorite characters. I mean, legendary characters.
It's packed. So let's look at what we're working with today. We've got production notes, we've got some plot summaries, viewership data, which is surprisingly interesting.
Very interesting, yeah.
And we've got analysis from authors like Lauren Bretzlowski, Edwin Demper, and J. Jeremy Wisniewski. So these are people who've, really put the show under the academic lens.
It's a heavy hitters list of analysis for a sitcom, but that's Arrested Development for you. It really invites that kind of scrutiny, doesn't it?
It really does. So let's set the scene. It's late 2004, Fox Network. This script is written by Brad Copeland.
Right. This was his fourth writing credit for the show, so he was pretty well established in the room by this point.
And it was directed by Lee Shillette-Schemmel. Context-wise, it falls right between the one where they build a house and good grief.
So we are deep in the pocket of Season 2 here.
Exactly.
And Season 2 is often cited as the peak of the show's original run. The writers really knew these characters by this point. They weren't trying to figure out who the Bluths were anymore. They knew, and they were just pushing them to their absolute limits.
It feels like they were confident. They were just firing on all cylinders.
Totally.
Okay, let's unpack the narrative first, because Amigos is basically a masterclass in what you'd call a comedy of errors.
Oh, it's a farce, a total farce. It relies entirely on misunderstanding and chaos.
And we have 4 different plot lines running simultaneously, and they all crash into each other in just the most spectacular way.
It's like a finely tuned watch, but every gear is just a little bit broken.
Perfect analogy. Let's start with the A-plot. This is the Michael and George Sr. storyline.
Right. And the driving force here is actually Lucille Bluth. She kicks the whole thing off.
Of course she does.
She hires a private investigator, Gene Parmesan, we'll definitely talk more about him later, who manages to locate her husband, George Sr., in Mexico.
So Michael, being the good son, or at least the one who desperately needs to believe he's the good son,
He has to be.
he decides his mission is to go down to Mexico and collect his father.
Right. He views himself as the savior of the family. If George Sr. is in trouble, Michael has to be the one to fix it. He's the only responsible one.
But here's the twist, and this is a classic Arrested Development. Michael and the group, they hire a bounty hunter named Ice to help them.
Ice. Yeah.
But the whole premise is based on a fundamental misunderstanding. They think they're tracking George Sr. down to a hideout.
Correct. But they don't realize that George Sr.'s funeral is actually taking place nearby. I mean, it's not even his funeral. It's a mock funeral, but still.
Right. They are completely misreading the situation on the ground. They're operating with, 100% confidence, but, 0% information.
Which is the Bluth family motto.
It really is. It's that constant state of confusion that drives the show. But what I love about this episode is how the B-plot mirrors the A-plot.
The Gob plot.
We have Gob, the magician illusionist,
An illusionist, Michael.
and his friendship illusion.
This is a really poignant storyline for Gob, actually. It starts with jealousy.
Doesn't it always with Gob? I mean, Everything he does is a reaction to Michael.
It does. He lies to Michael, claiming he's staying with friends. He wants to appear popular. He wants to appear like he has a life outside of the family.
And Michael, in that biting classic Bluth way, just shuts it down.
Instantly.
He just points out that Gob doesn't actually have any friends.
Which cuts deep. It's such a brutal thing to say to your brother, but it's also true.
It is. It's cruel because it's true.
Yeah.
So Gob escalates. He gets paranoid. He thinks Michael is fleeing the country to ditch the business. So he hires the same bounty hunter, Ice, to track Michael.
So you have this circular firing squad. Michael hires Ice to track George Senior.
And Gob hires Ice to track Michael.
It's so inefficient. It's money just being thrown into a hole.
It's the Bluth business model in a nutshell. Wasting money to spy on each other. But the resolution of this arc is surprisingly emotional.
It is, yeah.
Gob eventually has to confess that he has no friends. He breaks down.
And it's a real moment of vulnerability for a character who is usually all bravado and, terrible magic tricks.
And Michael, in a rare moment of empathy, admits he feels the same way. He admits that his son, George Michael, chose his girlfriend over him.
It's a moment of connection. Two lonely brothers realizing they're in the same boat. And for a second you think, oh, they're going to have a real breakthrough.
You do. And then the payoff.
The payoff is cynical but sweet in its own weird way.
Michael pays Gene Parmesan and Ice to act as Gob's friends.
For an afternoon.
It's transactional affection. Perfect for the Bluth. I will pay these strangers to like you.
Yeah.
It's so messed up, but also kind of touching.
It is. Get me a beer, friend.
Oh, it's so good. Now, we have to talk about the C plot. Because for many people, myself included, this is the episode.
This is the centerpiece.
This is the Buster plot.
Buster's escape, in quotes.
Yes, big air quotes.
Yeah.
So Buster wants to get out of army duty.
Correct. He's terrified. He is not built for the army. He's a cartographer, a scholar.
Mother boy. So he decides to stow away in the trunk of Michael's car, thinking Michael is driving deep into Mexico.
A desperate plan from a desperate man. And just a terrible, terrible idea from the start.
But of course, the execution fails.
Spectacularly. I mean, it's an immediate failure.
He climbs out of the trunk, but he's only been in there for a few minutes. Michael hasn't driven to Mexico.
Nope.
He's driven to the home of Lupe, the housekeeper, in Santa Ana.
Which is just down the road. But, and this is key to the character, Buster is so delusional and so sheltered that he believes he is in Mexico.
He sees the sun, he sees Lupe, and he goes, Mexico. It's just an instant conclusion.
He literally cites the Mexican sun as proof. He says, this Mexican sun is hot, as if the sun in Santa Ana is fundamentally different.
It is absurd. The logic is just so warped.
It is, but he commits to it. He fully commits. He joins Lupe in doing housework, thinking he is starting a new life as a laborer in a foreign country. He thinks he's an expatriate.
It's hilarious, but it leads to one of the most shocking climaxes in the show.
The walk-in.
The walk-in. Buster walks in on his mother, Lucille, having sex with her brother-in-law, Oscar.
In Lupe's house.
And that is the moment he realizes he never left the country. That's the snap.
The horror of that realization is what snaps him back to reality. It wasn't the geography. It was the trauma of seeing his mother with his uncle, who looks exactly like his father.
And briefly, just to round out the narrative chaos,
Yeah.
we have the D plot involving Ann Veal.
George Michael's girlfriend.
Her.
Exactly, her
Right.
friend.
Michael's disdain for Ann is in full swing here. He refuses to get to know her. He calls her egg. He calls her plant.
He just can't remember her name or won't. And in the chaos of the Mexico trip, the family accidentally leaves her behind.
They leave her in Mexico, a teenage girl. They just drive off without her.
They do. And the scene where Michael and George Michael drive back to find her sitting on a park bench, it's painful.
Yeah.
Just sitting there, patiently waiting.
So bland she's forgotten. And Michael agrees to get to know her, thinking maybe he's been too harsh.
And it backfires.
And that only solidifies his dislike for her.
It's a perfect circle of dysfunction. He tries to do the right thing, and it just reinforces his worst impulses.
It really is. So that's the plot. 4 plots, all moving, all colliding. But what makes this episode shine are the new faces.
Oh, definitely.
This episode introduces 2 characters who are just absolute gold. Let's talk about Gene Parmesan.
Played by the legendary Martin Mull.
This is his first appearance. I mean, it's hard to imagine this show without him, but this is where it starts.
It is. And it's interesting that production notes mention that the name Gene Parmesan actually came from writer Barbie Adler.
Oh, really? How did that happen?
Yes. Apparently, she saw the name in the credits of a school documentary years prior, back in high school, and just saved it. She kept that name in her pocket for years until this moment.
That is amazing. Sometimes a name is just too good to waste. It sounds cheesy.
Pun intended, I'm sure. It's a perfect name for a slightly incompetent private eye.
But the real magic of Gene Parmesan isn't just the name. It's his dynamic with Lucille.
With Jessica Walter. Oh, it's incredible.
Jessica Walter. She is famous for those squeals of joy whenever Gene reveals himself in a disguise.
Imitating Lucille Gene.
Yes, I can hear it in my head. He's a master of disguise, even though his disguises are terrible. A giant curtain.
A giant blue curtain with legs. And she's still delighted. Walter actually noted that she loved those scenes. She felt that they humanized Lucille.
How so? Because Lucille is usually, well, she's a villain, a monster, sometimes.
Right. But Walter argued that this showed a girly demeanor. It showed that she wasn't just this cold, calculating matriarch. She had this capacity for pure, simple delight.
That's a great point.
She could still get excited like a schoolgirl over this guy she hired.
It adds dimension. It shows a crack in the armor.
And there's a psychological layer to it, too. Author Edwin Demper, who wrote an assessment of the series, notes that despite Lucille's self-centered nature, she essentially runs on validation.
She needs to be told she's right.
Or just told she's good. Or that she's clever. Gene provides these small moments of praise. He validates her, and that makes her admire him, even though, if we're being honest, he's a terrible private investigator.
He's the worst. He never finds anything real. He's just good at hiding. But she loves him.
She loves the attention. She loves the game.
Now, on the other side of the competence spectrum, we have Ice.
Played by Malik Yoba.
So Gob hires Ice as a bounty hunter. And what strikes me about Ice is that he seems like he's in a different show. He's so competent.
That's a very astute observation. Ice is a character who subverts the typical Arrested Development character tropes.
In what way?
Well, usually the characters are caricatures or punchlines. They're deeply flawed, incompetent people.
Right.
But Ice, well, first of all, he's a minority character whose race isn't the joke, which is, a big deal.
That's a very important point.
He tears down stereotypes, he has this tough exterior, he's a bounty hunter, he's intimidating, but then we find out his real passion.
Party planning.
Party planning, he has a whole portfolio.
And he shamelessly mentions living near Legoland.
I love that detail. I live near Legoland. Like, it's a selling point for a bounty hunter. It makes him seem normal.
It shows a softer side.
Yeah.
It makes him a fully realized, quirky individual, not just a stereotype of a tough guy.
Exactly. He's a professional doing his job in a world of amateurs.
It's interesting, though, looking at the actor's perspective. Malik Yoba mentioned in an interview that he enjoyed his time on the show, but he felt the role didn't arguably fit what he was looking for at the time.
Which is fair. It's a very specific tone of comedy, and if you're playing the straight man to the insanity of the Bluths, it can probably feel a bit limiting for an actor. You're there to react, not to initiate the chaos.
Absolutely. You're the anchor while everyone else gets to be a hurricane.
Right.
Okay, let's get into the deep water. We've recapped the plot, we've met the characters. Now I want to talk about why this matters. Let's do the thematic analysis.
Let's do it. This is the good stuff.
We have to start with the hand.
The hand.
This is legendary foreshadowing. This is what people talk about when they talk about the genius of the show.
It is. So in the episode, Buster discovers a hand-shaped chair in Lupe's house.
A giant, kind of tacky chair shaped like a hand.
And he sits in it, feeling sorry for himself, and remarks, "I never thought I'd miss a hand so much."
Now, if you're watching this for the first time, that's just a weird Buster line. It's a non sequitur.
It's a throwaway joke about him missing his old life, his old comforts. But as author Lauren Bratslavsky highlights, this is direct, explicit foreshadowing.
Because later in the series, what happens?
Buster gets his hand bitten off by a loose seal.
A seal his brother Gob let loose. It's unbelievable planning.
But Slavsky uses this as a prime example of how the series weaves these loosely related storylines. They plant these obscure details, like a hand share, that are funny on their own but become these massive aha moments when you rewatch the series.
It rewards the rewatch.
It demands the rewatch. You almost have to see it twice to get everything. But here is where it gets really interesting. The creator, Mitchell Hurwitz, actually has regrets about this.
He regrets the chair. How could he regret the chair?
He admitted in an interview that he regretted not utilizing the hand-shaped chair more.
Really? More than he did?
Yes. He cited an inability to think of other ways to foreshadow the event. He felt he underused the gag. He thought he could have peppered in more hand references.
That is so fascinating, because from the outside, we look at it as this genius stroke of writing. Look, the chair, the line.
A perfect plant and payoff.
And the creator's sitting there going, I should have done more with the chair. It shows how high their standards were.
It shows the perfectionism of the writer's room. They were never satisfied.
Now, we need to talk about Buster in geography, because this leads into some heavier themes regarding class and perception.
Right. This is where the comedy gets a bit more biting. It stops being just silly and starts saying something.
So, Buster is established in the show as having expertise in cartography.
He's a map guy. He went to school for it.
He loves maps. And yet, his understanding of distance and culture is completely obliterated in this episode.
It's a massive irony, isn't it? He knows the map, but he doesn't know the territory. He has no real-world knowledge.
He believes he's in Mexico solely based on his preconceived notions.
The most superficial stereotypes.
He feels heat. He sees labor, therefore, Mexico.
Exactly. And author Carter Soules analyzes this. He argues that this is a trope. The privileged man trying to have a hard work day.
Playing at being working class, a sort of poverty tourism.
Right. They want the experience of labor without the stakes, without the necessity. And Buster likens his housework to being a slave.
Oof. Yeah, that line it's a tough one.
And Soules points out that this reveals how his lavish, sheltered lifestyle has completely warped his view of the working class. He thinks this is what it means to be Mexican or to be a laborer. It's a performance for him.
And that connects to the analysis by Jay's Jeremy Wisniewski regarding race and bigotry.
Yes. Wisniewski points out that Buster refers to his coworkers, who are just Lupe and her family, as slave buddies.
Slave buddies. It's such a cringe-inducing line. It's so tone-deaf.
It is. And Wisniewski attributes this to his upbringing. He saw Lupe confined to the kitchen. That was his only reference point for Mexican people. He has no other frame of reference.
So is the show saying Buster is a racist?
Yeah.
Is that the takeaway?
Well, the analysis suggests it explores themes of racism and bigotry, but distinguishes between malice and ignorance. Buster isn't being malicious.
He's not hateful.
No, not at all. He is profoundly structurally ignorant. His worldview is so small and so warped by his privilege that he can't see people as individuals.
He assumes he can just transition to a Mexican way of life, because he thinks there's this fundamental difference between Americans and Mexicans in how they function.
Exactly. It's structural. And Tyler Shores adds another layer to this. He notes how Ron Howard's narration plays into this whole thing.
The narrator, a key character, really.
The narrator provides this sense of certainty. He explains the situations with total authority, which highlights just how unaware the characters are.
Oh, that's a brilliant point.
The narrator knows the truth. The characters are living in a delusion. The narrator will say, Buster was, in fact, only minutes from his home, while Buster's thinking he's crossed an international border.
It's like the narrator's the only sane person in the room, and he's whispering to us, the audience, look at these idiots, look at how wrong they are.
Precisely. It creates this dramatic irony that runs through the entire series.
Before we move off themes, we have to mention the pop culture connections. Arrested Development loves to reference other media.
Intertextuality. It's woven into its DNA.
Big word. But yes,
Okay.
The title Amigos itself is a reference, right?
It is. This is the third consecutive episode of Season 2, where the title references the sitcom Friends.
The one where they build a house, the one where Michael leaves.
And now, Amigos, which of course means friends.
That is a subtle nod. A little jab, maybe?
But there's a more specific foreshadowing for the next episode. Good grief.
Tell me, I love this stuff.
Author Dustin Freely points this out. In Amigos, Lucille makes a reference to Buster's genitalia.
Oh, right. She calls them his Charlie Browns, which is just such a strange, specific thing for a mother to say.
Right. It seems like just a weird Lucilleism. Another example of her terrible mothering. But Freely notes this links directly to the heavy use of Peanuts references in the subsequent episode.
Good grief. Which is Charlie Brown's catchphrase.
Exactly. Where they walk with their heads down, the sad music plays. It's all connected. They were already planting the seeds.
It's the detail. Every line seems to be doing 2 or 3 things at once. It's a joke, it's character development, and it's foreshadowing.
It's incredibly dense writing. You almost need a flowchart to keep track of it all.
So we've broken down the episode, but how was it received? I mean, did people get it at the time?
Well, let's look at the numbers first, because they tell a story.
Viewership, let's hear it.
It was watched by 5.89 million viewers.
That sounds okay. I don't know what the scale is for 2004.
For 2004 network TV, it was struggling. badly. It was the 76th most watched broadcast of the week.
Ouch. 76th.
To give you context, it beat The Simple Life.
Okay. A small victory.
But it was behind a rerun of The Golden Girls.
A rerun of The Golden Girls beat a new episode of Arrested Development. That hurts. That really summarizes the show's whole struggle, doesn't it?
It does, and it marked a decrease of over 1 million viewers from the previous episode.
So people were actively tuning out.
The audience was shrinking week to week. It was too dense, too weird for a broad audience at that time. It found its life on DVD and streaming later.
But the critics, they must have been on board.
Oh, the critics loved it. And looking back, the rankings are consistently high. This is seen as a gem.
Let's run through some of those rankings.
Okay, so Brian Tallarico from Vulture, writing in 2019, ranked it the 14th best episode of the entire series.
Out of how many?
Yeah.
Over 80.
Yeah, there are over 80 episodes if you count the Netflix seasons. So top 15 is Elite Company.
What did he like about it?
He praised the trunk escape specifically and the fact that Anne was left in Mexico. He felt that punchline was the perfect, cynical way to end the episode.
His strong ending. What about IGN?
IGN went even higher. They ranked it 10th best.
Top 10. Okay.
They highlighted the line, Anne Hogg, which is George Michael trying to tell his dad that Anne is coming, and Michael hears it as Anne Hogg.
Classic. So simple, so funny.
And they noted that the narrative completion of Buster's fake Mexico trip was just deeply satisfying.
Collider.
S.K. Sapiano at Collider praised the absurdist scenarios and the satisfying use of every character.
That's a key point. Sometimes in sitcoms, you have a weak plot line. Oh, I don't care what Joey is doing this week. But here, every plot A, B, C, and D lands.
They all feel essential. And Slash Film's Chad Collins noted exactly that. He said the episode uses the entire cast effectively. And he contrasted this low-stakes, chaotic energy favorably against the Netflix revival era.
Which felt different, more sprawling.
A lot of critics feel the original run had a tightness that the later seasons lost, partly because they couldn't get the whole cast together at the same time.
And specific moments. I know people love the visual gags.
Noel Murray from the AZ Club lauded the visual humor. Specifically, Gene Parmesan's disguises and, again, Jessica Walter's acting, her reaction to the disguises.
We keep coming back to Jessica Walter.
She is the MVP of this episode in many ways. She kicks off the main plot and provides the biggest laughs.
And there's one more moment I want to highlight. Writer Mike Scollins listed a specific line as his favorite moment.
The Tobias line. It has to be.
The Tobias line. Your wife is dead.
It's when Tobias is trying to give Michael acting advice on how to deliver bad news.
It is awful. Just a horrible, horrible thing to say.
It is. Scollins called it awful but funny. Joking about a dead spouse is taboo, but the delivery from David Cross, it's just so earnest and so wrong.
It just works.
Yeah.
It's so shocking you have to laugh.
It highlights the absolute lack of social awareness that defines the Think Bluth family. He has no idea how inappropriate that is.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at the plot, the casting, the themes, the reception. When you step back and look at Amigos, what are we seeing?
I think we are seeing a microcosm of the show's brilliance. It's the whole show in 22 minutes.
How so?
It combines lowbrow slapstick, a man hiding in a trunk, a hand-shaped chair, with highbrow social commentary. It tackles privilege, it tackles perception, it tackles class.
And it does it without being preachy. It's not a lecture.
Never. It does it by making the characters the butt of the joke. We aren't laughing with Buster, as he calls his coworkers slave buddies. We are laughing at the absurdity of his worldview.
That's a crucial distinction.
It also plants seeds, the hand chair, the Charlie Browns. It's confident writing. It's writing that trusts its audience to pay attention.
And that leads me to something I want the listener to take away from this. When you rewatch this, watch for the certainty.
Yes. That's a great point.
As Tyler Shores noted, the show uses that confident, omniscient narration to highlight just how lost these people are.
It's a great tool for critical thinking, really. Question the narrator. Question the certainty you're being presented with, both in the show and, everywhere else.
Before we go, I have a thought I want to leave you with.
Let's hear it.
We laughed at Buster. We laughed at him mistaking his neighbor's house for a foreign country just because he saw some dust and felt some heat. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's completely absurd.
But it raises a provocative question for us to mull over. How much of our own perception of the world is shaped not by where we actually are,
but by what we expect to see?
Exactly. If you expect Mexico, you see Mexico. If you expect a threat, you see a threat. Our biases color the map.
We are all, in some ways, Buster in the trunk, seeing what we're primed to see.
There's a terrifying thought to end on.
It keeps us humble.
Thank you for diving deep with us today. This was a lot of fun.
Ideally, you'll dive deep with your friends, if you have them.
Unlike Gob. See you next time.